Alrighty guys, on this episode we're going to put ourselves a Harbor Freight sandblast cabinet together, and we're going to see what this thing's all about. So let's get into it.
Hey guys, welcome to the Houston Kilby YouTube channel. Well, good Lord, we got parts scattered everywhere for this deal. Man, there's a lot of pieces of this, but we'll get this thing put together here. I won't bore you with all the, probably do some cut scenes there real quick of putting this all together. Yeah, I just want to point out something that I really like. When I'm putting stuff like this together, all the companies out there that kind of do this right here, I really appreciate that. Like, it helps keep everything organized, and they got it labeled in there. Most of the time stuff from Harbor Freight isn't like this. Mostly it's like in bags or something, or just in a whole box. But I like it because you can keep everything kind of organized and separated. So if there's ever any companies out there that's watching this, probably not, but if you do, definitely appreciate it when you keep all your stuff nice and organized and all that good stuff. So one of the things that we are going to do, we're going to do away with this whole suction tube system, how this deal kind of works, and these really suck really bad. Okay, so it's a double-sided tube. What means is there's a smaller tube on the inside of this, and you can see right here there's like a gap right here. And how this is supposed to work is when you stick this down in your sand, it's supposed to help get air from up here, and it keeps it from clogging up. But if you've ever used this style, it stinks really bad. It's constantly surging, and you got like a second of sandblasting and then no sand, and it's messed up. So I'm going to show you a trick to that. I've watched several other videos, and it's something I learned at a job I used to work at, how to fix these things up, and it works pretty good. So let's get on into it here. Oh heck yeah guys, we're getting it there now. Right now we're working on the funnel part that collects all of the sand. This thing is starting to look like a cabinet. We got the legs on it. This thing's got a pretty neat little trap door in the bottom, so you can, I guess, get all the stuff out of it if I can get it open. Yeah, there you go, like that, boom. We do have a lot of silicone to do. They make some stuff that doesn't have any, it's not an oil-based style silicone. I'm gonna go grab some of that at Lowe's, and when I'm there, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the T-fitting and all that stuff that's gonna plumb into this. We're gonna cut us a hole in here, and I'll show you guys how we're gonna make this a bottom feeder, and it'll work pretty good. Let's keep on rocking. Alrighty guys, we are on to the next phase here. Just kind of show you guys how this thing is coming together. We now have that piece you saw Jesse welding up. It's now on there. We got our little adjustment valve right here. All you do is you turn this little bolt, and there's a hole drilled in the side of this pipe here to let air get in behind the system here. Okay, so now we've reduced down into this brass nipple onto this plastic hose here, and that's where our sand goes up into the cabinet right over here. And then our air system comes from our air compressor into a filter, into a dryer filter, into a regulator, and on into the cabinet there. Now we've got a couple of leaks on this thing that isn't too bad. We just got done sandblasting apart, and this is real fine sand, like play sand, and we're gonna have to get some coarser stuff tomorrow and really show you guys what this thing can do. So we got a couple of leaks coming right out of here, and we're going to silicone this whole thing up right through here and see if we can fix those issues. But this thing's working pretty good right now. Jesse is working on us a cart. Miss Hannah has been rocking out with us too right here. She's awful tired right now. Jesse's doing some welding for us. And again, he's making a cart for us so we can put this thing on wheels and also store our vacuum and our dust collection box. Now I'll get into that in just a minute, a real cheap alternative to do with that. All right, so moving on over here, we got our LED light and stuff set up. I'll show you guys a few tricks with that thing here in just a minute. Jesse's got my extension cord. But this thing's working pretty good. Show you a few things on the inside. We taped up the door. It's got a lot of crevices in here that if you don't tape it up, when you open the door, a bunch of sand falls out on the ground. Now, already we're seeing a bunch of collection of sand over here on the side, and I've noticed a lot of guys make some sheet metal pieces to taper this down to keep that from happening. So that'd be another project for another day. But you can run just very little sand with this type of setup that I'm using, and it works really, really well. But we're gonna keep on rocking. We are going to get this cart made for it. We're just using some regular angle iron. And y'all right over there?
Beer just straight up tastes like donuts.
Well, that's tasty. That was that donut you had earlier, wasn't it?
And pretty much.
Daggum, brother. That's what I'm talking about. But he's welding that up and he's getting some practice on that. And I've kind of been letting him handle that whole project over there, cutting and welding, and he's getting to learn a lot of stuff over there. And he's doing really good. He's doing really good with that. And I believe you're enjoying welding over there, ain't you?
Yes, sir, dude.
I think he's liking it pretty good
Loving
there.
it, man.
But yeah, so we're rocking that. Also, since the last episode, you guys haven't seen all of our banners we got going on in the shop right now. We're kind of nasty. We've been full force and stuff's piled up everywhere.
A little bit of color change.
Yeah, a little bit of color change. So we got some background stuff. You can see the Full Metal Goat's got a bunch of stuff going on it. But we're gonna keep on rocking here and making some cool stuff happen. Alrighty guys, Mr. Jesse's about to put a weld down, and you can see he is holding a piece of aluminum right there. And the reason he's holding that is he's got a little bit of a gap there, and I learned this trick from my dad. If you use a piece of aluminum or a piece of brass, if you're MIG welding on steel, it works as a good filler piece to help keep the weld from getting away from you. So I'm gonna shut up here and let Jesse rock and roll. That was good. Alrighty guys, we got ourselves a sandblaster. I went ahead and wrapped up a few things just to go over a few stuff here we done that we didn't catch on film. We went through and siliconed up around the cabinet. There's a few spots you can see, like right here, there's a little bit of sand that was coming out, and went through and siliconed up all around through there. And there's a few places on the underside that we got to. And after we done that, it sealed it up pretty good. But this system seems to work pretty good. We end up changing out what media we end up using. This is the stuff we were using before. I'll get up here. Pretty much just glass bead. And it would do a little bit, just kind of knock the surface off, but that was about it. And then we end up going to this black diamond, and it worked real good. I'll show you guys a few pieces that we've tested out here. So I went ahead and done my valve cover. I done one of them, and it turned out really nice. You can see how they're kind of getting a little bit weathered when we've done that, and you can see some rusted pieces that we cleaned up. And basically this is what it did with the black diamond, and then this area here is what the glass bead would do. But we are going to test out some walnut shell, and we'll test that out as well. So this thing is working really good. Definitely got to check out our sticker here, eat, sleep, go. But we're having a good time. This thing's working out pretty good, and we'll show you guys some blasting video here in just a second, and we'll rock on out here. Alrighty guys, let's go over this dust bucket here. So this is a very cheap alternative to do. They got like that dust collector thing that they make specifically for a sandblasting cabinet, and they're pretty expensive. The cheapest one you can get, it's like a plastic tube that you actually mount on top of a bucket, and it's about $30 to $50 depending on what website you buy it off of. And those things work pretty good. You can even buy a lid, and it's like an orange looking lid that you can get at Home Depot that does this same thing that like I'm doing right here, but it's like $50. But this was very, very cheap. I actually had an old paint bucket left over from painting the garage, and this is the lid that came on it. So all I done was I went and bought this flex hose here that goes into the back of the cabinet, and I just bought 3 fittings. I got this one, and I got this 90 that's in there. And the trick to this is kind of having it pointing down just a little bit. So basically the theory of this is, you know, when it's sucking out of the cabinet, it blows it in through here and it kind of lets the heavy particles fall down here at the bottom. And you can already see it's caught a pretty good amount of stuff. And then the vacuum hooks in through this, and it only gets very minimal dust out of this right here, and that keeps from burning up your vacuum cleaner there. And it's very, very handy, and that way you don't lose as much dust and, you know, media. But works pretty good, very cheap. I mean, I think the hose and the fittings was literally like 10 bucks altogether, so it wasn't too expensive at all to do this versus as ordering that duct. And it was also able to keep it all underneath here and not have to mount it outside of the cabinet. But it worked pretty good, and let's go a few other things here. Alrighty guys, just to kind of go over this thing again, just how everything kind of works in the system here. So this is kind of your collection point right here. Everything funnels down into right here, and we just got ourselves a simple 1-inch piece of pipe with pipe thread on it, and then we got ourselves a T that reduces down to 3/4 inch piping. And right here, I know this looks weird, but all this is a vent, okay? And what we've done is we put a bolt in the top of it, and there's a hole drilled into the side of it here. Now it doesn't matter what size hole you drill, you'll have to kind of play with it on your machine to see what it needs, and then you can take this and adjust it how much air bleeds into the system, okay? And then it reaches down into a nipple here, and it goes through our clear hose. I decided I wanted to use a clear hose so I could actually adjust, and you can see it when you adjust this right here, how much media goes through it, and you're basically wanting to get a consistent flow so it's not purging. But that's pretty much how that works there. Of course, we got our shop vac here. It's hooked into the top of our bucket, and then we've got that white hose going into the back of the cabinet. All right, so for the air system, we go in through a filter here, into our dryer, and then into a regulator through a flex hose, and then into the gun. And all this is pretty much the stock setup that comes with the machine. All this is the Harbor Freight stuff. I didn't do nothing different. And you know, our biggest thing was we ran ourselves a hose in through here for the media to pick up into it. But let's see here, is there anything else that we've done? We did put tape over the door. There's a lot of crevices that gets a lot of media in it, and it'll make a mess in the floor. Now, one thing I did notice that we will have to do differently, you still get media like right in here that gets trapped, and then when you open the door it falls on the ground. So we're going to have to kind of make us a tray sometime or another, but that'll be a video down the road to at least catch that stuff so we don't make a mess every time we open the door. But oh, and lastly, you have to double seal this, so you need to put that foam stuff here on the door and here. It's just because the tolerances of this thing, you got to put some extra on there so it'll actually seal up, and once you seal it up, it works pretty good. Let's see here, is there anything else? I think that's about it. But I mean, this project worked pretty good. Another thing, seeing a lot of people complain about these lights. Mine works pretty bright. I did notice there was like a sticker on top of this, and once you took the sticker off, it made it pretty bright in there. Now, would you want it a little bit brighter? Possibly so, but for me it works pretty good. No complaints there. One thing I did notice, the gloves on this thing are very small, and I suggest, and they stink. Yeah, Jesse, they don't smell too hot, do they?
No, you could You can feel pretty good if you had your head in there about 5 minutes.
Yeah, those gloves smell pretty bad, but definitely can get yourself a set of the extra larges. These are a little bit tight for us. But besides that, machine works pretty good. Show you guys a few of the things that we have sandblasted here. Alright, so here's a few other things that we have sandblasted. So I sandblasted one of my valve covers and it really cleaned this thing up a lot. And here's one that has not. You can see it kind of had a little bit of wear and tear on it there. And then I kind of gave us a few other things you can kind of see that was sandblasting, how nice it cleaned up. So there's the old side, new side all cleaned up. And this piece here had some very heavy rust on it, and quickly went over it and blasted it with that black diamond. And this here was sandblasted with that the sand we first tried out there, that glass bead, and it really just barely even touched the surface of it, so we had to change that up. And there's another piece that we blasted here, and it works pretty good. The vacuum helps out a lot. One thing that we will do in the future, we're wanting to try out that walnut media and see how that works out, so we'll probably talk about that in a future video. Last thing that we done, I end up blocking this almost all the way off, and it seemed to help with making the machine work good and also sucking up all the dust out there. So works pretty good, and it doesn't make a mess in the shop. That's the main thing. But yeah, it's pretty good. What do you think about it, Jesse?
Works great, man. If y'all need anything sandblast around this area, you holler at your boys.
That's right, holler at your boys.
Make it happen.
That's right, we can sandblast some stuff now. So it works good, and I think that's going to be it for this episode. You guys be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, you guys have a good one.